Yesterday, we also looked at this map of consciousness with the pyramid of David Hawkins of emotional frequencies. And guilt and shame are at the very bottom with vibrations between 20 and 30 megahertz. So shame in particular is the lowest. If you think you have feeling of shame, it's when it's that overwhelming desire to disappear, to cancel yourself out entirely. It's an emotion that erases you mentally and emotionally. Guilt is also very heavy, but it's slightly higher on the scale because it's more about feeling bad in relations to other rather than completely invalidating yourself like shame does. So people who experience a lot of guilt and shame often have a low sense of worth or self-esteem. They usually get stuck in a victim mentality where negative things seem to happen to them repeatedly. So that's why it's important to work on dissolving these emotions, which they block you from moving forward. Now, it's clear that most people don't live constantly in guilt or shame. And if they did, they would be extremely low, in a low emotional state. For the average person, these emotions come and go depending on the situation. I'm pretty sure it happened to all of us to be either up or down and then up and down again. And it's how it goes, is depending on the situation. But it's really important when you're pursuing a specific goal, such as, I don't know, doubling your income or gaining more clients or reaching a certain financial target. You feel a wave of guilt of shame when thinking about your goals. So it's a clear sign your vibration is low regarding that area. So if guilt and shame are tied to your desire for money or success, the thought of being wealthy makes you feel bad or unworthy. They are vibrating, your emotions are vibrating at a very low frequency in relation to wealth. So as long as those emotions linger, they create a block that keeps your goal feeling far away. That's why tackling guilt and shame is critical to raising your vibration and aligning with what you really want to achieve. Because if you don't clear the blocks, you are basically here, but your goal is here. And there's a gap between your goal and where you are at the moment. Then if you don't bridge this gap, you won't be able to achieve what you want to achieve. So, and the specialist in this area of financial development and behavior, they are talking that we have a financial thermostat, and this financial thermostat is like the one in your house, and it's called like that because it's messing with your money more than you know. So it works like exactly the thermostat you have in your house. When you set it to a point, when it comes to money, you set it to a point. It's like an invisible limit that says, this is how much I deserve to earn or save or have in my life. And whatever we realize it or not, we stay pretty locked in that comfort zone. So for example, let's say your financial thermostat is set at £2,000 a month. Yeah, that's your baseline, your safe zone. You can make it happen, so you don't freak about. And somehow that amount just keeps flowing into your life. But there's a tricky part, suddenly try to double that to £4,000 or £5,000. Things start feeling off. Maybe you feel overwhelmed, maybe you sabotage yourself, maybe it feels like no matter how hard you work, you can't just hit that number. That's your thermostat at work. It's saying, whoa, stop, this isn't where we belong. We are not there. We cannot go there. It's pretty dangerous. So that's why it's called a thermostat, because it's bringing you down, like the temperature in a house. When you put it to 20 degrees, it's going to keep the room at 20 degrees. If it's colder, it's going to the thermostat is going to kick in, it's going to bring it up. If it's higher, it cannot be higher. That doesn't make sense, but yeah. So does it make sense what I'm saying? Let me know if I'm talking your language and not something else.
Yeah, it does. It does. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Let's move on. But there is another side as well. If you drop below your usual financial level, let's say you are used to making those £2,000 a month, but 1 month you only make, let me see who wants to come. We have another. Okay. Great. We have two Biancas. Interesting. Probably the same person trying two devices. So I was saying that when you are used to making £2,000, but 1 month you are only making 1,500 somehow, things pop up to bring you back to your comfort zone. Maybe you get a random refund or land a surprise client. It happened to me so many times. I couldn't believe. I thought the gods loved me at the beginning, because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know about this financial thermostat. So it's pretty interesting, because when you look into your life, you can see it in you can see it happening. That's and what is your it's not about how much you make, but this thermostat controls like three things. It controls how much you can earn, how much you can keep, and how much you let enjoy yourself with the money you earn. So there are three aspects of this, what this financial thermostat controls. I will get back to these three aspects a bit later, because I want to explain more about guilt and shame, but I will come back to this and I will give you examples, and you will see, and probably you'll recognize those in your life as well. So what's the we have people coming and going. That's okay. So the takeaway here, if you want to change your financial situation, whether it's earning more, saving more, or actually enjoying what you've worked hard for, you've got to work on your thermostat. And your thermostat is given by these emotions, guilt and shame, and on one side, and pride on the other side. So it's believing that you are worthy of earning more, because you will never earn, keep, or enjoy if you don't truly believe you deserve it. So the question is, where is your thermostat set? Are you ready to turn it up a little bit more to go to the next level? Okay, we have someone. Let's see. Yeah, I want to know how to identify that. So Veronica said, yeah, I will go through that in very detail today, because it's really important. Yeah. Oh, great. I'm glad you ask questions. So please ask questions. Wherever you don't feel like you understand anything, or you want me to repeat something, or you have a question, just pop it into the chat and I will check from time to time. I will interrupt my my presentation, and I will try to answer and do my best. But let me tell you something, just because someone has a very low financial thermostat doesn't mean that they can't make money. I've got this client, for example, who's brilliant of generating cash. And I'm talking thousands and 10,000 per month. But by the end of the month, his account is back to zero every single time. He's not struggling to make money, he's struggling to keep it. And that's the thing. Your financial thermostat isn't just about how much you can earn, it's about how much you can hold on to. You might be great at bringing in money, but if guilt or other emotions are eating away at you, that money disappears faster than it came. Here's how guilt gets in the way. When you feel guilty about having money, you'll find ways to get rid of. Subconsciously, I'm not talking about conscious, mindful decisions. Yeah, so what we are talking today is about subconscious mind. So we are getting rid of them without even realizing. You will spend it, you'll give it away, or even wasting it, like you are trying to scrub that guilt of yourself. So it's very deep. It's that nagging feeling that that says, I don't deserve this, I'm gonna give it away, I'm gonna splash it, I'm gonna spread it everywhere. And shame makes it harder to even make money in the first place, because you are ashamed about wanting money, or think it makes you greedy or selfish. So you'll struggle to attract it, to ask for it, or even accept it when it shows up. You even don't see the opportunities in this case. So that's the thing. Whenever it's about making money, keeping it or enjoying it, guilt and shame are like this invisible chains holding you back. They keep your financial thermostat stuck at a level that feels safe and familiar, because this is what the subconscious mind does. It keeps you safe. Yeah, that's all it does. That's the only job it has. Yeah, so let's let's go and look at some definitions, because it's really important to know exactly what's the difference between what guilt and what shame is. So if you, when your mind latches, when it gets stuck to one side, as I said yesterday, we get polarized, and we have that duality principle, the universal law of duality, that says that everything in the universe, in a matter in matter is it has a duality form, is either plus and minus. Because I said yesterday, no matter how many times you are trying to divide a magnet, it has both poles. Yeah, you are not going to get only one side with plus and one side with minus. You are going to get plus and minus in tiny bits and pieces. So what I'm trying to say, the mind latches only on to one side, because that's how it likes it. It gets overly positive or overly negative, so it becomes polarized. And the emotions that are extreme, either way, so that's how we call them polarized. So guilt and shame are both polarized emotions, sitting firmly on the negative end of the spectrum. So now let's go to the definitions. So guilt is that heavy feeling you get when you believe that because of something you did or you didn't, you cause someone else or even a group of people more pain than pleasure, more harm than good. It's like the constant echo of, I messed up. For example, if you feel guilty about earning more money than others, it's probably because somewhere in your past you had an experience where you thought your success hurt someone else. Maybe you believed you caused them to feel left out or less than what they think they were. And then through that experience that is in the past, the guilt forms and it lingers into your present. So now, when you make more money than others, you feel that inexplicable guilt, like you are somehow doing something wrong, even though you're not. Yeah. And shame is a tiny bit different. While guilt is about how you feel about something you've done, shame is about how you believe others see you. So it's tied to your image, your reputation. Shame kicks in when you think you are showing the world a version of yourself that's more negative than positive, like you are, let's say, projecting more harm than good, more cost than benefit. In other words, shame is deeply tied to what you think others perceive you. Is the fear of judgment, of not measuring up, of being exposed for traits or behaviors you think are unacceptable. Yeah. So the most common issues is that people don't allow themselves to step out of the comfort zones, the local thinking or limiting beliefs about what's possible in their field. So that's what guilt and shame is about. I often hear phrases like, that's not possible for me, that doesn't apply to my situation, or I can only go this far, no further. My mom says that I am too old to change. That's how I am. So some people don't even try at all. They feel incapable of generating resources because when they are stuck in shame and guilt, they essentially like outsource their worth to others. This often shows up in an inner dialogue like, this isn't for me. People like me don't do things like this. I'm not good enough for this. Have you heard people saying that? I've heard it nearly every single day. Nearly every single day. So, the thing is that none of us is perfect, but we are a whole, as human beings, we have every single trait. This is what these universal laws are teaching us, that we have every single trait and action. They are within us, both the good and the bad, the generous and the selfish, the kind and the unkind. We are a mix of all of it, and every action we take has two sides. There is no such thing as purely good or purely bad. As I was saying yesterday, if I come in front of you and say, oh, hey, I'm Monica, I'm always good, I'm always beautiful, I'm always smart, I know everything about money, would you believe me? No, of course not, because I am Monica, and yes, I am sometimes organized, sometimes disorganized, sometimes I know some things about money, sometimes I don't know everything about money. Sometimes I'm kind, sometimes I'm mean. It depends on the situation. But the trouble starts when the society or our upbringing or the people around us tell us that certain traits are bad. For example, we are told that it's bad to be selfish, it's bad to keep things for ourselves, it's bad to say no, it's bad to prioritize our needs. So what happens? We try to hide those parts of ourselves because we don't want to be judged. And this is where guilt and shame creep in. When we try to suppress the bad traits, we end up polarizing our emotions. We convince ourselves that being selfish, for example, makes us a terrible person. So we feel guilty when we prioritize ourselves. or we think people will judge us as unkind or greedy. So we feel ashamed when we don't share everything we have. Yeah. So tell me if it makes sense, please, to you. Yeah, in the chat. I'm gonna stop sharing this one so you can see myself better. So does it make sense to you what I'm saying? Have you seen these examples in your own life? Yeah, I'm glad.
Yes, it makes absolute sense. Thanks.
Yes, I'm glad it makes sense. So the truth is that hiding parts of yourself or pretending they don't exist doesn't make them go away. It just creates this internal tug of war where guilt and shame take over, keeping you stuck in a cycle of self-judgment. And that's why it's so important to recognize and work through these emotions, because they are not who you are. They are just patterns you picked up along the way. So next time guilt or shame shows up, you ask yourself, what part of me am I hiding right now? And who taught me I should feel bad about it in the first place? Because when you start to unpack that, you'll find a sense of freedom that guilt and shame could never give you. So it's like we only want to show half of who we are, like the good half, while desperately trying to hide the rest. So we live in this illusion that we can actually pull it off, that we can bury the parts of us we are ashamed, and no one will ever notice. But let's be real, no one succeeds at this. No one, because we are whole. The harder we try to hide something, the more it finds the way to show up. Yeah, it's like life is saying, "Oh, you don't want people to see this side of you? Cool. I'll make sure it's the only thing they notice." So when it inevitably comes out, what do we feel? Shame, over and over and over again. So we have to stop the cycle. We have to shine the light on these hidden parts of ourselves. Instead of trying to suppress them, we need to see them for what they are. They are just traits with positive and negative sides, like everything else in this life. Because when we can accept them as they are, the shame and guilt starts to dissolve. And the magic of doing this kind of work, when we address the shame, we actually boost our confidence and self-worth. It's like shedding a weight we didn't even realize we were carrying. So let's go back to that financial thermostat I was talking about, because it's it creates like a financial wall, like a ceiling, like a plug. It's invisible limit that's keeping you where you can't seem to go beyond a certain level, no matter how hard you try. So I would like to give you some. I forgot to tell you that that's the kind of work I do with my clients, to let go of guilt and shame, pride, and other emotions that can appear. These are not the only three. Yeah, there are more than that. So this is the kind of work I do. So I can, so you can go, you can free, you can feel free and go to the next level, because you don't want to stay stuck in the same loop. It's time to rise. So when it comes to your goals, and where you want to go. It doesn't matter what it is, what you want to achieve. You know, the true growth happens when you stop swinging between pride and shame, because when you get one, you get the other one. When you get the other, you go back to the bottom as well, where shame is. Let's think pride is here, shame is here. You always swing between these two, and it's like you are swinging like a ball, you know, it's all the time, it's like that, up and down, up and down. So when you no longer feel ashamed or guilty about your goals, but you also don't get overly proud or full of yourself when you hit them, the goals, then that's when you truly build your self-worth. So at this point, you stop worrying about what people might think of you. You are no longer ashamed of your ambitions or guilty of wanting more, but you are also not sitting there puffing your chest out when you succeed. You know, you simply start to feel deserving in a calm, natural way. I say it, I like to say it is balanced and inspired, centered. It feels just right. So you'll feel quite confident, like you tell yourself, I deserve this. But it won't be because you are repeating a bunch of affirmations in the mirror or shouting, I deserve all the money in the world, like many people do. They tell you to repeat all sorts of mantras. It's hard work, and it goes very deep. But as soon as you go and clear these blocks, the jump and the leap is unimaginable. You will feel free, normal, natural, like it was always meant to be. And that's a sweet spot to be, you know, because there is the place where you know you've aligned your goals and your worth, and things start to shift in ways you didn't think they were possible. So you are just proving yourself that it's just being yourself. You're no longer proving, you are just being yourself. That's what it is. Let's give you examples on how shame can affect your financial decisions or your goals or your life in general. Because if you think about it, this doesn't apply only your financial area; it applies to all areas of your life. It may be in your social life, in your mental health, in your spiritual life, in any area of your life. So, for example, you may be over delivering for your clients, not because you genuinely want to, but because you are terrified they might think you are not doing a good enough job, or worse, they will expect more of you, and you judge, and they judge you if you don't meet their standards, and that's the shame. Or let's say talk social media. I still have a problem with this, and I still do the work on this one, the social media and public exposure. If you are a coach or a business owner, you know, or someone who wants to become one, shame can be a massive block, because you are so worried about how people might perceive you that is holding you back from showing online. You want to protect this perfect image of yourself so badly that it ends up sabotaging your growth. And nowadays, the presence and to get clients and to be everywhere, you have to be online. But it's uh, it's because of the shame we have about our perfect image. And it's shame also creeps into how we spend money. Think about it. Sometimes we overspend, not because we need or want something, but because we are trying to protect a certain image. Maybe you don't want people to know you are struggling financially, or you don't want to look cheap, or we feel pressure to prove we can afford things. So we spend money we shouldn't spend, just to avoid the possibility that of someone thinking we are less than. you know. And there is also the guilt, which often ties to holding on to things. For example, guilt might make you cling to ideas, habits, and even physical stuff that no longer serves you. It's like this heavy weight constantly whispering, you should hold on to this just in case. I am guilty of this, but I'm healing. I'm in the process of getting rid of many stuff. So both guilt and shame are like this. As I said, they are invisible walls that keeping you stuck. So they sneak into your thoughts and decisions, and they keep you from achieving your goals. It's really important to identify why. So, as I mentioned earlier, there are three main ways of low deserve level. The how financial thermostat controls us. Yeah. One is you can make the money you want, and this is when you hit a wall with how much you can earn, for example. You can't just seem to break that past. Uh, you can break past a certain ceiling, financial ceiling. Don't think of the ceiling of a house. It's just a financial ceiling. You might not ask for what your work is worth, or you feel too embarrassed to charge what you deserve. You might hesitate to request a raise, even though you know objectively that you are worth more. You've compared the market, you see people in similar roles, earning significantly more, and you are aware of your contributions, yet you hold yourself back thinking, who am I to ask for that? This is who am I mindset. So it's keeping you stuck, so undervaluing your worth and missing opportunities to step into your true value. That's the outcome of having this behavior, this pattern. Another example is maybe you keep offering your services for free. You shy away from promoting yourself. As I said earlier, you might even work ridiculous hours. I used to do that. I used to work weekends and long hours until 11 o'clock because I didn't want to miss out on anything. But the money didn't reflect my effort at all. And when you get what when you do get more money, something happens and it's gone like magic. You let others decide what your work is worth, and you just go along with it and saying, pay me whatever you think is fair. The other day, I can give you an example. My neighbor is a chiropractor, and a few weeks ago I went to her because my back was killing me. I asked her, how much do I owe you? And she said, whatever, don't worry about it. Yesterday I suddenly remember I hadn't paid her. So I messaged her again asking, how much do I owe you for that session? And guess what she said? Whatever you want. I insisted she tell me her fee, but she kept dodging the question, saying, it's fine, just give me whatever. And that's someone who's constantly complaining about not making enough money, yet she can't even put a price on her work. That's a classic sign of the very low level of merit about herself. So, and where the shame and guilt is in action. Because when you don't see money as important, even while you are stressed about not having enough, that's the reason. Great. Let's keep going. I don't know what's going on. People come in and get out, in and out all the time. Probably some internet problems. Let me give you another example, and probably it happened to all of us many times. When someone minimizes us, when we were a child, and you say your parent comes to you and say, shame on you, you did that, you shouldn't have done that. some people say, shame on you because you want more. You don't know what it means to struggle. I struggle here. I can't give you more, you know, and we really internalize, take it in. I had a client who was told exactly this, and really he accepted what he was told by his parents, and he felt ashamed, and he minimized himself and even began to punish himself. He was started to thinking, you know, maybe they're right, maybe I don't know what it means to struggle. So what happened next? When he took in that shame, he fell into unhealthy patterns. He was seeking out hardship to prove he understands struggle, because deep down he wanted to remain loyal to the person who made him feel ashamed, because it was one of his parents. He didn't want to say otherwise. He didn't want their parents to, it looked to him like he didn't listen to his parents. So it was like saying, you know, you said I don't know what it means to struggle. Well, watch this. Now I'm like just like you. Don't leave me. Don't reject me. That's a twisted form of loyalty. And another pattern he developed, he was like feeling guilty when things came easy. If it felt too easy, because he was earning money without overworking or exhausting himself, he felt like he didn't deserve it. So the voice of the person who told him to be ashamed echoed in his mind and said, you should feel ashamed. You don't know what it means to work hard. So instead of enjoying ease, he sabotaged himself and ensured life became hard again. So this combination is a perfect recipe for staying stuck financially in any area, and basically in any area of your life. So if you are stuck in shame, feeling undeserving, is nearly impossible to grow. So while we've focused on financial implications here, because let's be honest, money is a topic that interests all of us. The consequences ripple into every area of life. If I believe I don't deserve, I won't grow financially, I won't deepen my relationships, and I won't fully enjoy life. So the root cause is the belief I don't deserve. And breaking free from this belief is essential for transforming your life. So how is it so far? Because we are going to the second consequence, or how, no, as the second area where the thermostat controls our financial life. Have I been cleared? Have I been, I was too fast.
No, you were
Yeah,
okay.
I never did, Veronica, as well. When I did the work on myself, I couldn't believe the what came out, and how much impact these emotions have on our lives, because it's a visible change. It's a visible change when you work on this. It's impossible to say I'm working on this, and this, because it's an endless process. But as soon as you know how to work with this, you will see the patterns. It's easy then to work with the following layers, because it's like, think of you like an onion, and with the skin, you peel one and another one and another one and another one. So they will be there all the time, but they are not going to be so strong as soon as you clear the strongest ones, because the strongest ones appear at the beginning all the time. Now let's go to the second area where the thermostat controls our financial life. When money slips through your fingers, you manage to earn the money, but you can't seem to hold on to it. The moment you get a financial win, an unexpected expense pops up. Maybe your car breaks down, your boiler stops working, or you suddenly owe money for something random. It happened to me not long ago, last year in September. I had a lot of income that month, and my car broke down. So the universe came and brought me down to the same level I was used to. So I had to work hard on clearing the emotions there. And it's easy to blame external circumstances for this, but deep down is the same financial thermostat we talked about earlier. It's pulling you back where you feel comfortable. You might also notice it's a pattern where valuable things you buy end up breaking or going wrong right after you get them. Did it happen to you? It happened to me. And I know a friend of mine, happens to him a lot of time. Or when you have a decent amount of money saved up and you feel this overwhelming urge to give it away, like you can't allow yourself to keep it. So in this state, I show excessive altruism and tend to attract opportunists, those ones who take advantage of your altruism. So if you find yourself surrounded by people taking advantage of you, it's a sign that you've leaned too far into excessive altruism. Now, I know you might think, but isn't it good to be altruistic? Well, not when it's exaggerated. The ultimate principle is love your neighbor as yourself. And this is, as far as I know, I'm not a very religious person, so is the Bible talks about it as well. But don't love your neighbor more than yourself. Even in nature, excessive altruism isn't sustainable. For example, a tree, I will give you an example from the agriculture, because I have an allotment and I have a lot of plants and it's the best example I can give you. A tree that tries to bear fruit without first developing a strong structure will collapse under its own weight. And that's the destiny of those who overdo altruism. They break down under their own generosity. Those that take advantage of that are drawn to us to help us learn to return to the center. So their life's way of, this is the universe's way of pushing us towards the balance. There's another one that maybe you feel obligated to help others, or think you have to spend more to gain people's approval or admiration. And that's where pride sneaks in, making you look generous or successful. We will talk about this later on when we talk about the pride. And the third aspect that the financial thermostat controls in our financial behavior is you can't enjoy the money you earn. My first very client about it was like this. She was hoarding money like nothing, just she was earning, and she couldn't spend anything on. So even when you don't have the money, you struggle. You do have the money, you struggle to enjoy it. Yeah, you feel guilty spending it on yourself, or you don't allow yourself to use it in ways that make you happy. Instead, you save and save without a real purpose, clinging to it out of fear or uncertainty about the future. This is what she said. It gives her independence. It gives her security for the future, and that is coming from fear. So you might feel even it's wrong to have more money than others. in this situation. You feel bad for being in a better position, or you are haunted by the idea that it's unfair. I had a client who finally splurged on a dream holiday to Zanzibar after working all year. She's in this gorgeous luxury hotel living the dream, you know. Instead of enjoying it, she's sitting there consumed with guilt. She's thinking about how hard the locals work and how little they earn, and feeling like she doesn't deserve to be there. She earned this holiday, she saved for it, but guilt completely stole the joy out of the experience. Because of this, you hold back from investing in yourself, whether it's your growth or education or opportunities that could take you to the next level. So you are stuck where you are because you are too scared to spend on anything that might help you grow. So the bottom line, all these behaviors, whether it's struggling to earn, losing money as fast as you make it, or not letting yourself enjoy, these are signs of a very low sense of worth when it comes to money. So when you see yourself in any of these examples, it's worth digging into those feelings of guilt, shame, fear that are holding you back. So once you shift of how you feel about yourself and your relationship with money, you'll stop sabotaging yourself and finally step in what you truly deserve. So how were these examples for you? How did you find it? Did you see yourself in any of them? Tell me.
Yeah,
Yeah?
yeah, sometimes I do, let's say, feel bad if I feel that I have more than others.
Yeah, I know. I feel too. Sometimes I went to Morocco 2 years ago, and I couldn't believe how those people live, despite the fact they have good food and they have nice places to visit, but their life is not as luxury as ours. I mean, that's how I thought at that moment. And I felt for a few days, I felt guilty for being there and for having more money than them. It took me a little bit of time to adjust. So, yeah, I know. Now let's go on to the opposite one, because when you have shame and guilt, you also have the opposite. It's fascinating because you can't have one without the other. They are a reflection of one another. And I've heard this many times because pride is something, if you looked at I'm not going to share the PDF again because I'm struggling. But if you look at that pyramid, pride wasn't in a good zone of frequency, was very low on that pyramid. That's why it's when probably you've been told all your life that being proud of yourself is a good thing. It's a sign of confidence, of self-esteem, success. Because I used to think that way, the same way I believe I needed to feel proud of myself. Even when my daughter was young, I would always say, I'm proud of you, I'm proud of you. And she would the other day she told me, I'm proud of you, mom, I'm proud of you, mom. But let's look at pride, because it's not over pride. It's not something we are after, because it's not it's not a sign of confidence. I believe that I needed to feel proud of myself, to seek out things to be proud of, to show off my achievements like everyone is doing nowadays on social media, and to make sure people knew how well I was doing. But when I first learned that pride can actually hold us back, so it can be a very sneaky saboteur, and I was really shocked. it completely turned my idea I had about pride upside down. So further, I want to explain why pride isn't the helper we think it is, and how it can actually slow us down. I'll make sure to break it down in a way that makes sense to your rational mind, because let's be honest, when someone tells you that pride isn't good for you, your brain might immediately go, wait, what? If I let go of my pride, I won't feel won't my confidence disappear? Won't I just feel like crap about myself? Yeah, that's exactly what I worried about too. I thought, if I stop being proud of myself, then what's left? Am I just going to feel worthless? But here's the thing, it doesn't work that way, and let me explain it to you. Pride isn't the same as having high self-worth or high self-esteem or high confidence. Pride is actually more fragile than we realize. It's often about comparing ourselves to others or needing external validation. Is that feeling of, look at me, look how great I am. And when you are in that space, you are actually on shaky grounds, because your self-esteem is tied to something outside you, whatever it's other people's opinions, your achievements, or other material stuff. The problem with pride is that it's not stable. It's tied to ups and downs, as I told you before. We either go up and feel pride. When things go well, you feel amazing. But it's a long way to fall, because it is not going to last long, and you go back down to your shame and guilt and to the bottom, and then so on. It's a constant swing up and down, pride to guilt, pride to shame, keeps us stuck in that loop. So as I said, pride isn't high self confidence or anything, self or high self-worth, because self-worth is very different. Self-worth isn't about needing to prove anything. It's about feeling whole, balanced, and grounded in who you are, no matter what's happening around you. So here's the key. The way to build true self-worth isn't by holding on to pride or clinging to guilt or shame. It's by dissolving all of them. It's by the end of this explanations, you will understand how letting go of pride, along with guilt and shame, actually helps you develop a strong, stable sense of self-worth, one that doesn't depend on anyone else's opinion or external achievements. As I want to be as clear as possible, feel free to ask again questions or challenge anything that doesn't make sense, because your mind has to buy into this idea. Otherwise, it will just resist the information and you won't get anything out of what I'm saying. The highest level of self-worth, the one we are all striving to reach, is when we stop bouncing back and forth between guilt, shame, and pride, as I said. When you have one, you also have the opposite too. So when you feel like you are proud in that moment, look at yourself and ask, where I feel shame, what do I feel ashamed or guilt about? They walk hand in hand. It's the synchronicity of the moment. So when you are at the bottom, you also feel proud about something. And what happens when we are in this state of being proud? We become incredibly influenced by the outside world. Yeah. If someone validates the parts of us that we are proud of, we feel amazing. It's like, wow, I'm on top of the world. I'm crushing it. I'm awesome. But the moment someone points out the parts we've ashamed of, it's like a crash landing. Suddenly we feel small, worthless, like we want to disappear. So it's exhausting. This constant riding, this emotional roller coaster is your sense of self depends on what others think and say about you. So the real transformation happens when you learn to value and accept yourself completely. As I said before, the good, the bad, the messy, the brilliant, when you stop splitting yourself in good and bad, when you see yourself as a whole, you stop being so easily shaken by external validation or criticism. So, in other words, I can say you become resilient, or as I like to say, untouchable. No one can throw you off the balance because your sense of self-worth doesn't rely on anything else. Are you still with me so far? I want to tie all these blocks together so you can see how they are all interconnected. I hope I can see myself understood. They are like a spider web. Each thread builds on the other. When there is a shame, there's also pride, because these two sides these two are sides of the same coin. You can't have one without the other. Even people who seem shy, insecure, afraid, those are people who carry a lot of shame. They also have a lot of pride hiding it in the background. It just shows up differently. They might not express it by bragging or acting like they are better than everyone else. They are not very loud, but it's still there. Pride doesn't always look like showing off or saying, look at me, I'm amazing. It can be quieter as well. For example, ignoring someone or refusing to engage with others can also be a form of pride. Is a quieter way of saying, I'm smarter than you, so you are not worth of my time. So pride isn't just about being loud. It has many subtle forms. And before we go further, let's give pride a proper definition, because it helps our rational mind to have clarity. So pride is a perception, yeah, like shame and guilt is a perception. It's not a reality. It's how our mind chooses to interpret a situation. Pride happens when your mind judges something and creates a polarized perception, a view where one side, the good side, is exaggerated. It's like saying, in this moment, I was more good than bad, more right than wrong, more valuable than not. It's never balanced. So it's based on moments, not the whole picture of who we are. We don't usually feel pride about everything. If you look at your life, I said it before and I'm going to keep saying, because it's how I say it and how my life and my experience proved it. It depends on the moment. It's specific to a certain moment when you perceive we've done something good. Over time, if we collect enough of these moments, our mind might generalize it. I'm a good person, I'm successful, I'm generous. But it all starts with individual moments of pride. Pride forms when we perceive that in a specific moment we created more positive than negative, either for ourselves or for someone else. So let's say if I gave money to someone struggling on the street and a friend of mine saw it and said, wow, you are so generous. Now, in that moment, I might feel pride for two reasons. One, I believe I created more positive than negative for the person I helped. And I think I gave them money, I made their day better, I helped them out. So my mind decides to bring more benefits than drawbacks in that moment. And two, I feel pride because of how I was perceived. My friends saw me as generous and kind and good. So now not only do I feel good about the action, but I also feel good about how others see me because of it. So there are two sides of pride, and it's tied both to the person or the situation. So I gave you the example. One is the situation that I gave money, and one is to the person who perceived me, who saw me giving the money. Every bit of pride has an equal amount of shame attached to it. The more I take pride in a trait or action, the more shame I feel when I inevitably show the opposite side. And trust me, the opposite side will show up at some point, because that's the principle of duality, if you remember. Everything in life is plus and minus in the same time, because we all have both sides within us, the good and the bad, the organized and the messy, the generous and selfish, and so on. So the harder I cling to pride about being proud, let's say super organized, the more shame I feel the moment I forget something or let things slip. It's like a balancing act. The more weight you put on one side, the harder it swings back on the other way. It's just how life works. We're all a mix of plus and minus, and the sooner we see that, the less these emotions swings will control us. A lot of people will say, I'm not a proud person. I don't have any pride. In fact, I have zero confidence in myself. I'm super shy. I always put myself down, and I don't think I'm good enough. I've never heard this story. I've heard this story many times from people trying to convince me that they don't have an ounce of pride in them. But here's the truth. If you feel shame, you also feel pride, so you don't get rid of it. It's impossible to have one without the other. They are like two sides of the same coin. Again, I like this saying, two sides of the same coin. Pride doesn't always look the same for everyone. It's not always loud and obvious. Like I said before, some people like bragging about it everywhere, showing off and stuff like this. Some people just ignore. So that's very silently and quiet. It might not be flashy, or it might be, as I said, it's different ways how it appears in our lives. Even if you don't see yourself proud, it's there. It's there. Look better because it's there. And now you might be wondering, what does pride have to do with money? It's the connection is when we are overly attached to a specific part of ourselves, when we feel the need to protect an identity or a mask we've created, we often limit our growth, success, and even how much money we allow ourselves to make. If I pride myself in being, I just give you an example. If I pride myself in being smart, it's going to be hard for me to put myself in situations where I don't feel smart. So often growth means making mistakes, fumbling through things, or getting things wrong in the beginning. But if I'm clinging to this smart identity, I'll avoid those situations because they might expose the opposite, at risk people seeing me as not as smart after all, and that feels like a threat to the mask I've built. The same thing happens with money. Let's say you see yourself as a kind or selfless person. You are proud of being perceived that way. So when it comes time to change to charge what you're really worth, you hesitate, because in your mind, asking for more money might make people think, oh, so you are not as selfless as you pretend to be. You are just here for the money. And that fear of being exposed keeps you stuck charging less than you deserve. And this shows up a lot of business owners. They struggle to ask for higher rates because they are terrified of being judged. They think, what if my client pays me this much and then doesn't get the result they expect? They'll think I'm not as smart or skilled as I seem to be. Better to charge less. It's safer that way. No one will expect too much, and I can protect my image. So we stay small, we limit our growth and success, all to keep these masks intact, whatever is the smart mask or the kind mask or whatever image you've built for yourself. But the truth is, those masks are the very thing that is holding us back. It's so letting them go. It's how we move forward. How does this connect to money? When you value yourself fully, you naturally start to attract more opportunities, more respect, more yes, more money, yeah? Because people treat you the way you treat yourself is the reflection principle, is the law of reflection, universal law of reflection. The way they see you, the way you treat yourself, the same way they treat you. I forgot the idea. So if you constantly doubt yourself or bouncing between guilt and shame, pride, and others will mirror that energy back to you. They will hesitate to value you fully because you are not valuing yourself fully. But when you stand in your worth, when you stop swinging between I'm the best and I'm not good enough, people feel that. They will trust you more, they will respect you more, and see your value more clearly. Now, in the area of money, it's when we are proud, and it falls into I forgot the word. Oh, that is funny. Now it shows, yeah, the other side, that I'm not smart always. I'm not always a smart person. So it's shown when you feel too proud, you are known as being showing off, trying to present more than what you are, more than what you have, more than what you're capable of. So we exaggerate. Look how intelligent, how refined or premium I am. It's easy to feel flattered at this state. I don't know if you know the Aesop fable with the fox and the crow. When the crow had the cheese in its mouth, you know, when they're sitting on a branch on a tree, and the fox said, "Oh, crow, you are the most beautiful bird I ever seen. Let me hear your voice." And flattered, the crow opens its mouth to caw and crack. The cheese falls to the fox. So it's easy to spend money, time, energy chasing this kind of shine, proving our status or reinforcing our positions. It makes us feel good temporarily, but we don't realize we are actually sabotaging ourselves financially. There are when you're pride, you become blind and ignorant, and this state makes us take bigger risks than we should, rushing towards goals like financial independence. I'll achieve it in 3 years if I push hard enough. And while ambition isn't bad, the problem lies in the state we are operating from. Then we rush because we overestimate ourselves. Our goals becomes less about substance and more about feeding our ego. When we seed the fantasy, the fruit will be disappointment. So that's what we harvest. Instead of being realistic and objective, saying this was a fantasy, not a goal, we spiral further. In truth, we are just stuck in the pride emotion. I often observe this, especially among business owners or freelancers. When we are in the zone of pride, we may feel a strong inner power. We are not weighted down by shame, such as who I am to put myself out there, or by the fear rooted in resentment. Instead, we exude confidence. However, we manifest this power in ways that completely ignore our inner system warning signals. Those instincts that tell us that we are safe or wise. I have more examples here, but we are running late. When we are operating from pride, others often perceive us as selfish, and if they can, they will avoid us and they will exclude us. So when you are in pride, you feel that no matter how much you achieve or earn right now, it's never enough. You convince yourself that at the next level, everything will fall into place. I heard that when I earn, I don't know, a certain amount of money, I will be fine. People will stop growing like that. So pride, it's very challenging. It's like a bottomless pit because you think that it's never enough. I have more examples, but I can't. I can't. It's pretty late, and I don't want to keep it very long. So let me know. Let me know. How was it so far, please? I know it was a lot of information, but I didn't want to let things out, and I have so many examples. It's in a way frustrating that I can't share everything with you. I have 2 exercises of how you can explore pride and also shame. I will email it to you. I didn't put them on a slide, unfortunately. To sum up, the only way to transform guilt, shame, or pride is through compassion, because you can't force yourself to change out of self-judgment. But when you create a space of love, like near the top of that consciousness pyramid, love was near the top. When you create a space to love those parts of yourself, even the ones you've been trying to hide, you unlock the ability to grow and evolve. It's really empowering, and it really works. So you will get, when you work through these emotions, you create a space where you can make decisions with clarity, confidence, and balance. And the result is more income, smarter money habits, a calmer, more intentional life. It's not just about making more. It's about feeling good about what you make and how to use it. And what's when everything starts to align. This is it for tonight. It was great. Tomorrow we are going to talk about the external poles, attachment, addictions on one side, and resentment and fear on the negative side, on the downside. So we're going to have, again, I'm going to try to talk less less than today, and also we'll have some exercises. Probably I will aim to do some exercises together tomorrow. So thank you very much for being here tonight. I'm so grateful, and hope to see you tomorrow again. Bye.